I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
All right, I'm back. What's up, YouTube? From the title of this video, you already know what I'm going to talk about. So, but what you don't know is that not only did I lose my job, but I lost my job twice in the past 12 months. And I'm going to talk about like how that happened and kind of explain like what I'm kind of thinking about what I'm going to do next, and just kind of like my concerns and like what's going on with my life right now, because it's kind of a mess. But unfortunately, you know, like I'm going to be unemployed again, and so it really sucks. But I mean, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we, you know, have a very tech heavy culture. And so I worked at a company that I was at for about 3 years, and I had some personal stuff going on, and I wasn't necessarily feeling like the happiest. And it wasn't the work that I was doing, because I love that company. That company actually did a lot for me and really helped me grow my career a lot. And so like kudos to them, and you know, them being able to give me those opportunities, because I was really thankful for that. But because of my personal situations, I wanted to end up taking some time for myself to be able to like leave and kind of not even just explore other career opportunities, but to be able to kind of clear my head and kind of find myself again, because I started to feel very isolated and very like work anxiety, and it didn't really relate to anybody that I was working with, but it was more centered around maybe like the work capacity, like my like workload and like what I was doing there. And so I took some time to myself and ended up leaving that company. And I was approached with this other offer after leaving that company, and it was an opportunity for me to grow my career. And I'm not gonna say what company it was, I'm not gonna mention any names, because the purpose of this is not to bash that company or the people that work there or anything like that, even though I don't necessarily agree with the decisions that were made. But I was approached with this opportunity to be able to lead a department for my field, and was really excited about that. And I ended up joining the company, but the pay was a pay cut. It was at a startup. It was a pay cut. It was a higher role at a smaller company, and there was a lot of growth opportunity that would come with that. So I thought about it, and ended up taking the offer at that particular company, and I worked there for about 6 months. And during my time there was a lot of blockage with projects that I would work on, and then there was also a lot of, you know, that saying where there's too many chefs in the kitchen, where everybody's just touching everything. Everybody has their hand in the pot. And so things aren't getting done the way that they're supposed to be getting done, or they're not getting done as quickly as they could be getting done. And I ended up having some very heated discussions with some of the other leadership team members, with the CEO. And so with that, things got really uncomfortable. And I was thinking in my head, like, okay, like I know that we're having some issues, and I tried to solve them as best that I could, because I'm a very direct person. I like to be able to solve problems from like a solutions-oriented way of thinking, rather than having to be talking behind someone's back, or having discussions that that person is not a part of, that like pertain to that person, to be able to come to some type of common ground. And unfortunately, I was not aware that I was not doing a good job, and so I was let go. After 6 months, I did a lot of work for that company, and I was let go. I was ambushed one day on a Zoom video call, like at like 9:30 in the morning, and I was really upset about the way the situation was being handled. And yeah, and it wasn't really much that they had to say. It was like this, they used one specific reason to fire me. I wasn't given any warnings. I wasn't giving any performance review. I wasn't given nothing, none of that stuff happened. there was no procedures in place for performance management that would allow them to come up with a reason to let me go or something to that extent. And I think that they knew that. And so they ended up giving me a severance package, which was like, okay, like fine, like I'll take it. Because, you know, I have bills that I need to pay. I have a mortgage. I take care of myself. I live on my own. And so unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish any of the work that I was doing, which like makes you really feel like unfulfilled. Like you put in like all this work and you're like, okay, I have this vision for this project, and then you can't finish it. And they're like, oh no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you're just done. Today's your last day. It was very strategic on their end, the way that they did it. They did it on a payday, so they didn't have to like do anything with my last check. It was just like right there. And then the severance was extra. And so I have never had a problem finding a job. So this happened in March of last year, in 2022. And yeah, I haven't had a problem finding a job ever. And then when I said that out loud, then I ended up having trouble finding a job. So I was unemployed for 6 months. And during that unemployment period, I interviewed with 32 different companies and for 48 hours. And that's not even including like interview prep, like looking at who you're talking to in those interview sessions and the panels and researching the companies and doing the applications. That's just sitting in the interviews and talking to someone. I spent 48 hours over 6 months doing that. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but like when you add in the applications, like doing a resume and the cover letters and all of that stuff, it takes up a lot of time. And then not to mention having to interview with 32 different companies, 5 of which ghosted me, completely disappeared, like reached out to me about an interview, wanted to schedule, and then just completely disappeared or didn't show up for the interview time. And then there was another 3 companies that I had interviews scheduled and they canceled on me the same day that I was looking, or that I was supposed to have the interview, and they canceled on me the same day because they had given an offer to someone already. And it was so upsetting. It was so upsetting to have to deal with a situation where someone doesn't respect your time, like your energy, you know, like the effort that you're putting into these interviews. They want you to be able to work for their company, and they want you to be able to, you know, do your best for the company and like support the company and do all these things like when you're an employee there. But then when you're a candidate, they just could give a shit. They don't really care. So that sucked. And so after going through all of that, I got one offer that was horrible. And so I turned it down, and my friends were telling me, like, you're being too picky. My dad's like, you know, be yourself, but tone it down because everybody's not ready for that. I'm like, I feel like you should be able to be yourself at work. Like, and then there should be a level of respect and like professionalism at work. So there's that. But ended up getting another job. I found the job, was very excited about it, got the offer in August, started in September. I thought this was gonna be good for me. It was a higher level role, but also the pay was not what I expected. But I figured that if I took this job, then there would be better opportunities for me in the future because of the level of the role and the nature of the work that I would be doing. So I started at that company and things seemed fine. And then history repeated itself again. No warning, no disciplinary actions, no conversations around deadlines, no conversations around projects, no conversations around anything. And one day I get on a Zoom call and it's basically, this isn't working out. I think we need something different for this position. So we're gonna be letting you go. And I didn't really have the fight in me to be able to argue with it because it just happened to me 6 months or now a year ago. And so I've had that conversation already, and like, so my last day is coming up. But what I did do this particular time is that I did put my foot down because they were not offering severance this time. And so I was like, well, if you're taking responsibility for misposting the role or restructuring this particular department and you want it to go this particular way, but you hired me to do it differently, then I am expecting to be on payroll for the next month. While I'm trying to figure my shit out, because what am I supposed to do? Like, I have bills, I take care of myself. So I'm not gonna just be like, this is my last day So I had to try to fight for something, and then that's what I got. Is that enough? In my opinion, no, but it's something. And so I've been looking at different companies and interviewing, and I'm not really sure what's gonna happen next. I'm really upset that this happened again, just because like a lot of these companies, and I think that, you know, when you go and you work for these companies, there's a lot of people that are in management roles that have never done these jobs before, or they've never managed anybody before, or they've worked for bigger companies where they can be more hands-off because, you know, they have a team of managers that like they work with and that kind of thing, and they don't have necessarily the people skills or the management skills like to be able to have those one-on-one conversations and have uncomfortable conversations with people when they're not meeting expectations. And I think that, you know, if you're going to manage somebody, you need to have that. So that's number one. But yeah, I mean, I've looked into some side hustles and some other opportunities that might kick off for me, but I'm just going to see how that goes. And I finished my real estate classes, so I have to register to take the test and then give expedited processing for military, so hopefully that goes well. I'm taking the notary test on February 17th, so hopefully that goes well. And I'm posting on YouTube again, trying to get that monetized, so like hopefully this goes well. Yeah, but it sucks like when you lose your job and, you know, you're trying to figure out like what you want to do next, and especially when people don't appreciate your time and energy that you put into the work that you do. So if anybody's going through this, I really hope that you find a job that you can be your authentic self at work, and that you can find people who understand you and respect you enough to tell you when you're doing good and when you're not doing good, and don't just kick you out the door, because everybody deserves that. And it's really important that you find somewhere that appreciates you, for sure. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about, but I'll be posting more often because I have nothing but time on my hands now, so there's that. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope that you guys will subscribe and follow me on Instagram, and yeah, talk to you later. Bye.